Hey, it's Mrs. Shupar down here on the floor again with a list of supplies that you're going to need for today's project. Today we're going to be making an owl out of a milk jug. So the first thing that you're going to need is a 1-gallon milk jug. And you're going to need 2 plastic forks, and they can be any color. It doesn't have to be the clear kind, which is just what I had at my house. You're going to need 2 pieces of paper. They can be white paper or whatever color you have at your house, doesn't really matter. You're going to need a scissors for part of this project. You're going to need some black paint, and if you have any white paint, you can use white paint, but white's not necessary. But definitely try to get some black paint or another dark color. It could be brown. Some duct tape or a hot glue gun, whatever your parents are comfortable with or whatever you have at your house. Just make sure you stay safe. Speaking of being safe, you are going to need a sharp knife for this project. So if your parents are not home, please do not attempt to do anything with a sharp knife. Make sure that you have your parents help you with that part. And the last thing you're going to need for your owl is some lids. So I have for my owl eyes, I have for the big part, I have pickle lids. I have 2 pickle lids. You could use any kind of large size lids if you have like pasta sauce lids or any other kinds of larger size lids. And then for the inside of the owl eye, I have 2 Gatorade bottle lids, but again, you can use any kind of like medium size or smaller, whatever is a smaller size lid that'll fit on the inside. And it could be milk lids, it could be any kind of other, maybe like a water bottle lid. A water bottle lid might be a little bit too small, so maybe like a like juice, if you have like a bottle of juice, that would work, so that kind of lid. Alright, so go ahead and collect up those items. I don't think I'm going to be doing my project on the floor today. I just wanted to show you the items that you would need for this project. I think I'm going to go ahead and set up on my desk, and let's go ahead and get started. Alright, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do some painting. Before you start painting, make sure you have something down over top of your table or your desk so that you don't get paint on top of that surface. So I just took a paper bag from the grocery store and I cut that and spread it out so that I have a placemat underneath of what I'm going to be painting. I'm going to start by painting the plastic forks that I have. I would like those to be black. I know that some places will give you black silverware, like I think it used to be Wendy's. So if you already have black plastic forks, then that would be perfect. But if you don't, if you have a white plastic fork or if you have a clear plastic fork, which is what I have, then you're going to want to paint that. So I have my black paint and I have my paintbrush. I'm going to go ahead and paint the forks. And you don't have to paint the handle of the fork. The only part of the fork that you're going to see for the owl is this part where I'm painting right now, and that's actually going to be the feet of the owl. So you don't have to put too much paint on there. You're just gonna put 1 layer of black paint, and you don't have to paint the handle. Set that to the side to dry, and then go ahead and paint your second fork. And set that to the side so it can dry. And then I'm going to get a different brush for the lids. I'm going to paint just the blue part here. So since this is a blue pickle lid and you can still see some of the blue peeking out on this side, which this is the side I'm using for the eye of the owl, I want to leave this part in here kind of white, like the color that it already is, but I do want to paint black over top of this blue area right here. So I'm going to get a little smaller brush and I'm going to paint right over top of the blue. And you don't have to paint the back, but if you want to, you could paint along the sides so that you're covering up the words that say Vlasic or whatever pickle you have. Set that to the side so it can dry. And now I'm ready to paint the smaller lids. The first color I want to use is a little bit of white because I want the inside of the eye to be white. All right, and then I want the outside of the lid to be black, so I need to rinse my brush again. And you don't have to paint the back of it because that part is going to get attached to the other lid, so you just paint the sides of the lid black, and then I want like a little bit of a black rim around right here, so I'm just going to put a little bit of black paint around the top. And it's going to kind of overlap a little bit of the white that we just did, but that's kind of what we want it to do. And then we want a little black dot here in the middle. That's going to be the inside of the eye. All right, set that one to the side and then do the same thing for this one. The next thing that we're gonna paint is the milk jug, and we're going to paint with some black paint to make it look like the feathers that would be on like the front of the owl, like on the belly part. Because the eyes are gonna go up here, and we're gonna put a nose right here. So we just need to put the feathers down, like starting underneath of the handle. So we're gonna start underneath of the handle, and we're gonna paint this side, and we're going to paint all the way down to the bottom and all the way over to the other side. So that'll be the area that will be like the belly of the owl. This is the size brush that I have. Whatever size you have at home is fine. I just wouldn't use a really big brush because you're going to need to get kind of some small details to make it look like little feathers. And we're just going to be painting little U's, and we're going to kind of paint them in a row to make it look like rows of feathers. So you're just going to be painting lots and lots of little U's. Phew, that was a lot of U's. I just want you to take a look and notice that none of the U's are exactly the same. They're all different shapes and sizes, so it doesn't matter if they're exactly perfect. Actually, it would probably look really weird if they were all exactly the same and perfect. You want them to look kind of just like the shape of feathers, like that fluffy, small little feathers that birds have on their stomach. All right, well, I hope your hand didn't fall off yet because we still have a whole lot more U's to paint on the paper. So get your 2 pieces of paper and we are gonna start painting U's on there. Okay, I have 2 pieces of white paper. You can use whatever kind of paper you have at your house. I did draw a line over here. You'll notice I drew that on both pieces of paper just because I wanted to have a square shape for the area that I was going to paint with the U's. The reason that I want the square shape is because this piece is gonna get cut. So after we do the painting and the paint is dry, we need to cut this into a square. So I have this line here already so that I know how far I want to go over to paint. For the first square, I'm gonna turn my paper this way so that I'm painting the U's in rows going across that way instead of painting across this way. Okay, so turn your paper so that you have this point at the bottom facing yourself. Okay, so I know that I want the beak of my owl to be black, but I don't have any black construction paper, so I'm going to use this area over here on my paper, and I'm just going to paint an area plain black, and it doesn't have to be the shape of the beak because I'm going to cut the shape out of this black paper. So I'm just painting an area plain black on my paper, and I'm gonna wait for that to dry so that I can cut out the shape of the beak. Okay, we have one more piece of paper that we need to paint with our U's. This piece is going to be the wings, and I don't think that I need this area, so I went ahead and drew that line with the pencil again. So I'm not gonna paint this side of the paper. I'm just gonna paint this side, and then I'll use this to create the wings. I'm gonna cut this into the shape that I need for 2 wings. So instead of doing it this way like we did for the other piece, I'm gonna leave the paper going this direction, and my U's are gonna go in rows back and forth this way. Now that the paint's dry, I'm ready to cut the pieces of paper. And remember, I had drawn the line over here so that I could do the square shape. So I'm just gonna follow that line that I had drawn. And I'll follow that on the second paper. Okay, for the beak, I had that black area that I had painted onto the side of the paper, and I drew a triangle on top of it just with a pencil really lightly. So now I can cut the triangle shape. For the wings, the first thing I want to do is cut this square in half, so that I have a piece for each of the wings. So now I have 2 pieces of paper ready for the wings. I don't need this whole piece of paper for the wings. What I want to do is line it up with my milk jug, because I only need the wing to go from about the bottom of the milk jug up to about here, because this is going to be the top of the head of the owl. So I'm going to cut my piece of paper so that the top part is gone. I don't need the top part. The wing doesn't need to go up all the way past the head of the owl. So I'm gonna cut at an angle so that I can get more of like a wing shape. So I'm just gonna throw this piece away. If you wanna make like a tail or something on the back of your owl, you could always set that to the side and use that for something else. So this is the piece of paper that I'm going to use for the wing, and I'm going to have the bottom of this piece of paper line up with the bottom of the milk jug, and this will be the outside of the wing. And then this side right here is going to be the piece that I attach to the milk jug. So this part right here, I'm going to actually fold. And if you're using hot glue, this is where you would attach the glue. We're gonna try to assemble the owl with duct tape today so that you have a safer option. But if you have an adult helping you at home, you could always use hot glue to attach the wing. Before I attach the wing, I wanna make sure that I have my second wing the same size. So I'm actually going to line it up on the bottom, and I'm gonna follow the same cut that I cut before. And you can either throw this piece away or you can save it for a different part of the owl if you wanna add some details later. I actually just made a mistake, and I'm gonna show you how we can fix our mistake. We don't want 2 wings that are going the same direction. What we want is one wing that's gonna be on this side of the milk jug, And that what we wanted was the shape that we have here, but going the opposite direction. So I should have flipped this over when I was cutting it so that I have this line going this way. But now we have two wings that are exactly the same. If I was just going to flip this over, which is what I need these two shapes, now I don't have my paint. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to take the piece that I cut off, I'm going to line it up so that it goes back together the way it was. I'm gonna take some of my tape and tape it back together. I'm gonna tape it on the back so nobody's ever going to know. Now this time, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the wing that I already cut, I'm gonna flip it this time, and I'm going to hold it together and cut the other way so that we have the correct shape for our second wing. Okay, so now this is the piece that you don't need. All right, flip this back over, and now we have what we need for our wings. Before we attach anything to our milk jug, we're gonna need to use that sharp knife to cut some tiny holes in the bottom so that we'll be able to put the handle of our fork, and we'll be able to slide that into the bottom of the milk jug. So get an adult before you do anything. Go get an adult, somebody that can help you with this, because please do not use a sharp knife by yourself. You're gonna find the bottom of your milk jug, and you're gonna take the pointy part of the knife and you're just gonna poke it into the plastic, and you just need to make a little slice that's going to be big enough where you'll be able to fit the handle of the fork into the hole. Okay, so that's gonna be the little owl foot. Okay, so go ahead and do that again on the other side. Have an adult take the sharp knife, take the pointy part and poke it into the plastic of the jug, and you just need to make one slice so that it's big enough to put the handle of the fork, and then you slide that inside. The next thing I'm going to attach is the small lid inside of the bigger lid. I'm going to use duct tape for this, and if you have a hot glue gun is probably going to work better for you. I noticed when I made my robot using all duct tape that after a few hours the duct tape started to let loose and some of the pieces started to fall off. So if you do have an adult that is willing to help you with a hot glue gun, you can attach all of these pieces with hot glue. But I'm going to see if I can do it with the duct tape, just because that's a safer option. And if you don't have an adult that is willing to help you with this, you'll be able to still make the project just using duct tape instead. So go ahead and rip off or cut off. You can use a scissors, but you're going to get a small piece that's going to be small enough that once you attach it to itself and make sure that the sticky side is on the outside, you can stick that on the back of the lid without it showing. You want to make sure that this piece of tape is small enough so that when you turn it over, you won't be able to see that poking out from behind. And then try to line that up in the center of the other lid and push down. And so now I have one owl eye, and I'm going to do that same thing again for the second owl eye. Okay, and now we're ready to attach that to the milk jug. So get your tape, and this time you want a bigger piece of duct tape because this is going to go on the back of the larger lid. Okay, and then get your milk jug ready, and one eye is going to go right here, and the other eye is going to go right here. Now that you have the eyes attached, you can go ahead and attach the beak. So you should have a triangle cut out of black paper, and just get a little tiny piece of tape and roll that up nice and small so that it can go on the back of your triangle. And you're gonna attach that right here on the handle of the milk jug, right in between the eyes. The piece of paper that you have that's a square that's going to go on the top of the owl's head is going to get attached at 2 places. So flip your paper over, but make sure you have the U's going this direction. And you want to put a piece of duct tape on both sides. So you want to put one piece here on this point, right at the pointy part, and then down here on the other point. Okay, and then flip it back over and get your owl. The first part is going to be right here. You're going to line it up on the handle, like the very top of the handle, and push your duct tape down right there. And then the other piece is back here on the back, and that's gonna get lined up. Just pull it tight, like across where the lid is. Pull the paper tight across there, and then stick that second piece of tape right back there. Okay, our owl's looking pretty good. The last thing that we need to attach is the wings. So I'm going to put 2 pieces of duct tape on each wing. And remember, if you remember back to when we were cutting the wings, I did fold it a little bit. So you'll take the one wing that goes on this side and you're gonna fold it so that you have a little bit on the back here. And you're gonna put little pieces of duct tape, so roll them up kind of small so that they fit back here on this back piece that you folded. So one's gonna go up at the top, and then get another small piece, roll it up nice and small so that it can fit down here at the bottom. And then you're gonna line up the folded part right here, like where your U's stop. When you stopped painting on the jug, you're gonna line up the wing right there so that the U's that you painted on the paper kind of continue where you left off here. Okay, so I had to move this second piece of tape up a little bit. I had it all the way down here at the bottom, but that's not really connected to the jug. I want this wing, the bottom here, to be lined up with the bottom of the jug here. So after I did that, I realized that I had to move this piece of tape up here. So when you do it on the other side, this is where the tape should be. You should have a piece of tape up here at the top and then about halfway down, so that when you're lining it up, you're gonna connect it so that this, this bottom of the wing here is kind of level with the bottom of the jug here. Okay, so this is our owl all completed. I love him so much. He turned out so cute. So I hope that you are able to find a few supplies to make an owl, and if you do get a chance to make an owl, I would love for you to take a picture and post it onto your Schoology account so I can see it. I do need to shout out to Adrian from Spanish Immersion 4th grade. He was able to upload a picture of his lettering. He put some bubble letters and some block letters and some 3D letters on his Schoology. And I definitely need to shout out Nick from Miss Kybak's class, because he has completed every single art assignment on Schoology, and I'm able to see all of his pictures on Schoology. So great job to Nick. He's the only student in the whole school to do every single art assignment. I'm so proud of him. Last thing I want to say before I go is you have 1 week left to order a yearbook. If you'd like to buy a yearbook for this year, they're $10, and you just need to go to the Frederick Douglass website and go to the Parents tab, and when your parent clicks on that, then you go down to the bottom where it says yearbook, and that will take you to where you can purchase your yearbook on the internet. All right, I will see you tomorrow for another project with items that you can use or items that you can find at your own house.